Welcome back to Creating Stuff with Jim. I'm Jim. It's time to create something. Well, in the last episode, I told you everything that's going on with the front suspension of Inferno, and now in this episode, this episode is going to probably be the king of time lapses, because what I'm going to do now is I got to tear everything apart, I got to weld everything together, I got to reinforce everything, and throw a coat of paint on it and put it back together. So, tell you what, there's no need to talk anymore on this episode. So I say it's time to get to work. Let's go. All right, here's our cross member, and here's what we got. Here's our cross member, and here's what we got going on for our upper link mount. Is just due to the fitment of everything, I had to put the upper link for the 3-link front suspension. I had to do that on the cross member. I did not have any other room. It was just, the best way to put it is, it was a compromise. It was the best worst option I had. So it's what it is. So, but like I said, I just mocked it up where I felt happy with the front suspension. So now what I have to do is this 3/8 plate, although it's pretty thick, it's pretty strong just by sheer mass in itself. Just to handle the pounding or the strain that the suspension is going to put on it, I need to reinforce a little bit. And unfortunately, drawback I have to deal with is this big hole on this one side has to stay there because that's for my front drive shaft. So over here, so what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to make 2 runners that they're going to come all the way back to about right here. They're going to come straight, then they're going to start stepping down until it terminates there. I will put a bulkhead right here to prevent, or I'll put it like right here just to prevent mud from getting in here. And then I'll put a cap on the top of it. And after I put a cap, I'm going to add additional gussets from here up the side of this, and I'm actually going to do a nice heavy bracket going up to the side of the frame rail to stiffen this up as much as I can. So anyways, and the worst thing that's going to happen is it doesn't work and I got to figure something else out. So I'm going to quit my yak and get to work. All right, this is coming along nicely, but I'm going to point out as I've been welding this, you notice how I've been welding. I welded a couple inches, skipped a couple inches, went a couple more. Basically, I'm more or less doing like a stitch weld. I'm going to go back. I'm going to weld it completely. But the biggest reason I'm doing that is I'm trying to avoid warping this piece of metal right here. Is because if I just started from one end and weld it all the way to the other, it would creak and pop, it would expand, and next thing you know, it wouldn't be fitting right. So I kept it clamped, and basically by controlling how much heat this piece of metal absorbs, we're controlling how much it warps, so we can keep a good fit without having other issues. So that's come along nicely. And then also I'm going to point out right here, this joint right here. I planned this specifically is because anytime you weld on a frame, you want to avoid doing a straight vertical weld as often as possible. Sometimes you can't avoid it. Sometimes it can be done. But for what this frame was not, this particular section of the frame was not designed to be welded vertical right here. So basically that's why there's a nice big sweeping curve right here. So basically, when I do the undercut, it's not going to give a point where it can break. So that's why there's the curve there. And then the other thing is I have a nice gap in here. And the reason being is because when I weld this is because I actually have three pieces of metal here. I have this one, and the frame. So I am going to, this entire notch, crack right in here, notch, crack, however you want to look at it, is going to get completely filled in. And like I said, we can actually grind it flush, make it look like it's never been there. But what that's going to do is that's going to bond, it's going to join all three of these pieces of metal together. So that's the purpose of having a wide gap there and the reason why it's curved. This is a pre-made steering box mounting bracket. Unless I just modified it to work. I mean, I just twisted it to align the steering box where I needed to position it. So that's the reason for this right here. So, but like I said, we avoid doing the vertical welds so you don't weaken the frame, cause a point where the frame can crack at. So anyway, other than that, this is looking good. Like I said, I'm actually going to turn the time lapse on because I'm not going to bore you to death with filling in all these welds. But I'll probably bring it back when I go to weld this notch up. And then also the other side of it is I actually have a couple plates and some gussets I'm going to do for the track bar mount right here. So I'll bring you back for that as well. So tell you what, let me quit this yakking and get back to work, and I'll bring you guys back when I do something a little bit more interesting. Alright, as you can see in the last clip, I welded this arc right up in here, and basically I had at least 2 or 3 root passes that were deep down inside that notch, and then I followed up with a top pass to tie everything together. So that's a really solid joint right there. That should last a very long time, and if it doesn't, I'll re-weld it. But anyways, this will end up getting ground down flush, looking nice and pretty. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to have somebody else do that. I will probably put paint on it before that happens, just so it doesn't rust, and then after it gets ground down, I'll put some more paint on it. So, but now I got that done, let me show you what I got going on for these gussets. All right, I'm going to start off with a top plate, and I actually cut these out specifically on my plasma table on how they only go half on top of this and the other side. That's just so that the little space in here leaves me room so I can get weld, so I have surface area on both pieces, because if I had them both flush like that, I would actually have less surface area. So I'm going to get more surface area on my weld if I have them set position like that. So that's one piece. And then another piece is going to get welded right like that. And actually, I'm going to tack these in, and I'm going to take this rod joint out, so just so it doesn't get melted or anything, because there are rubber pieces in there I don't want to melt. But I'm going to put that on, and then I'm going to try and dress it up a little bit. These side gussets are really not needed, but I think it just look cool just to put them on there like that. I think it'd be a nice touch. So I'm going to go. So once I weld all this stuff in, this track bar mount is going to be pretty rock solid. So, anyways, but if it breaks, I'll re-weld it. So, anyways, all right. Well, I'm going to turn the time lapse back on, so I go ahead and put these on. All right, this is not looking too bad. A little bit of grinding will go a long way with this. Unfortunately, I won't be doing that. I'll have somebody else do that. So anyways, I got this side completely welded in. And also, if I didn't say anything why I was putting these reinforcement plates on, the biggest reason is because I got to put a big shock tower, like, hold on, because I got to put a big shock tower right here to hold the coilover shock to actually hold the truck up. So the frame really wasn't designed to have that weight, that torsional strength on this frame. It was so, that's why I'm reinforcing it, because I got to put the shock tower on the side. So, but anyways, looking good. I'm going to get some, after this cools off, I'm going to get some paint on it so it doesn't rust. Like I say, it's going to get ground probably after the front axle goes underneath it, but depending on when I can get someone out here to do it for me. So, but now I just got to weld the other side on. The other side is just a flat plate. There's no track bar bracket. There's no steering box bracket. So it's boring. So I'm not gonna bore you to death with that. So tell you what, I'll bring you back when I start welding on the front axle, which after I weld that other one on, I'll be welding the front axle. So let's get to it. Well, this video is starting to get a little bit on the long side, so unfortunately I'm going to have to cut it off here. So as you can see in the footage, I'm actually welding brackets onto the front axle, but if you want to see how all that goes together and how the front end goes back underneath the truck, you're going to have to tune into the next episode. So if you liked the video and you're not subscribed, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, and also if you liked it, please share it with your friends. So I like sharing my experiences and all the work I do out in my shop. So I hope you enjoy it as much as I do. So until then, I will see you on the next one.